You know, our country's at a tipping point. We could go bad. We're at a tipping point.
A tipping point? Folks, that might be the understatement of the year, because while the media is obsessing over clickbait and manufactured outrage, NATO's worst nightmare is quietly becoming reality, and the technocratic control of the United States under Palantir and Peter Thiel and all of those guys is happening in real time. And yes, everything is changing right before our eyes. I'm going to show you exactly how this is unfolding. So over the past 48 hours, I received exclusive information from sources, information that has not been reported anywhere else. And here it is, that 2 Russian nuclear submarines have arrived off the coast of Venezuela. And more are on their way. This is in addition to the Russian battleships and cruisers, which have already headed to the region, and that has been reported. Let that sink in. These are not patrol ships. These are not advisors. These are nuclear submarines. And if you understand Russia's nuclear submarine fleet right now, this should set off alarms, because Russia's undersea nuclear capability is not just competitive with the United States, it's blowing us away. It surpasses us in several key areas, in size, in stealth, innovation. Their 2 new style submarines are the apex predators of the ocean right now, and we can't compete. And they are parked right now in our hemisphere. Why? Because something much bigger is happening behind the scenes, something Washington and Brussels don't want to talk about. They keep talking around it, but we're going to talk straight at it today. And here it is. Last week, President Trump quietly unveiled what insiders are now calling the Trump Doctrine. You could call it the Trump Corollary. It's a seismic rewriting of the U.S. grand strategy that effectively ends the unipolar order that America has dominated since 1945. The U.S. as the reserve currency, as the superpower, gone. Trump just declared it. Dare I say that this is a game changer? You probably didn't hear about it because the media totally ignored it, completely actually. But Europe heard it, China heard it, Russia definitely heard it, hence the submarines. And Trump told the truth, that NATO never once spoken out loud. There are now 3 great powers in the world: the United States, China, and Russia. That's it. Europe, according to Trump's own national security team, Europe will cease to be relevant within 20 years. Their entire civilization changed forever. This isn't me saying this. This is the Trump administration's official view written down in a new doctrine. Trump's new strategy document essentially stunned the mainstream by bluntly stating that Europe faces a civilizational collapse, and it will be done, finished in 20 years. And of course, that means the death of NATO, a fossil that no longer is relevant. Colonel Douglas Macgregor reacted to this on our show earlier this week by saying bluntly that NATO is dead. Watch.
NATO is disintegrating. We're trying to maintain this facade that such an alliance actually existed as meaningful. But if you look at Berlin right now and Germany is like a volcano that is beginning to erupt.
This is the real world now. And Trump, unlike the neocons, is acknowledging it. So let's talk about Venezuela, because what you're being told is the sanitized version of what's happening there. You're told it's about narco-terrorism. That's a lie, of course, as we've debunked. So if you go one layer deeper, you probably think, oh, then it's about oil. But it's not even about that. You're told, oh, it's about Maduro. It's not about that either. Oh, it's about restoring democracy. Nope, it's not that. The real story that no insiders want to talk about is this. China is deeply entwined in Venezuela. China built the refineries. China built the infrastructure. They're building ports all through Latin America. China refines 30% of Venezuela's oil just off the coast in the Orinoco Belt. So yes, it's about oil, but it's about China's influence in our hemisphere, full stop. And Trump's new doctrine is a blunt reassertion of the Monroe Doctrine. The Western Hemisphere belongs to us, not Beijing. And the moment Trump publicly rolled out this new strategy, guess who showed up? Russia sent nuclear submarines to Venezuela to say, hey, we're here too, and you don't get to box us out. Are we playing this game? And what sources are telling me right now is that these 3 superpowers are shifting everything. Trump's own documents now say China is not an enemy, they're an economic competitor. The new Trump doctrine says we're done being the cops of the world, essentially. It says Taiwan, yeah, it's important, but it's not important if other countries aren't going to pay their fair share to actually assist in the defense of Taiwan, like Europe. In other words, Trump is saying we're going to start keeping our eyes on our own paper, and you'd better start doing the same, because we're not going to pay for it anymore. Now, the Trump doctrine isn't just anti-China. It also sidelines Moscow in a big way. It says America is no longer trying to run the entire planet, only its own hemisphere. Fortress America, essentially. And this is where the concerns about a technocratic rise in America come into play, right? It's for our security that we need to have all this biometric scanning and surveillance under Palantir. So we're going to see how that part unfolds. But if Trump can pull this off, it's going to piss off a lot of war hawks at NATO who want us to go to war with Russia, who want us to invade Venezuela, who want us to keep bombing Somalia and the Houthis in Yemen. This is a massive shift, the biggest since 1945. From a global policeman to a continental superstate. Can we pull it off? That means enormous opportunities here at home if this happens. You can already see it in construction and manufacturing. The demand for electrical engineers in this country is off the charts. Forget those like little bloggers that sit on a beach and write like travel blogs. No. What America needs now are real people that know how to do real jobs. Trump has essentially admitted something the political class never wanted to say out loud, that tariffs alone have not stopped China. The supply chain still sits in Asia, and our entire manufacturing base is hollowed out and gone. So now he's doing something much more radical. He's cutting off the hemisphere, a sealed economic and military wall, a fortified hemisphere, a return to pre-World War II strategic thinking, which we had in the United States, but on steroids. And this is why mass manufacturing is now being forced back into the United States. Rare earth mining is being nationalized, essentially. I mean, the U.S. is literally investing in precious metals, silver, copper, nickel. It's a vital national security interest, as Trump has declared it. Tariffs are being weaponized, of course, and Chinese influence is being ripped out of Latin America by force if necessary. Will they go quietly? Let's see how this plays out. Will Xi Jinping blink? Will Putin blink? This is not a policy tweak. This is a civilizational pivot right now. And the rest of the world is reacting. Europe is melting down. As Moon of Alabama put it bluntly, the new U.S. strategy strangles Europe, competes with China, and forgets the rest. And Europe knows it. They're done. Because if America withdraws its global NATO umbrella and China and Russia rise, which they are, then Europe essentially becomes irrelevant. And they know what's coming. Demographic collapse, energy shortages you're seeing all over Germany, industrial decline, a dependent military, a migrant crisis that cannot be reversed. Europe is staring at extinction as a geopolitical actor, and Trump just said it out loud and put it in a policy paper. This is why we're seeing panic behind the scenes. And speaking of panic, here's something else that sources have told me. There are 11,000 Chinese engineers currently in the United States. What are they doing here? Engineers? Not students, not tourists. Engineers. And U.S. officials admit they have no idea where many of them are or what exactly they're even doing. So let me repeat that. Thousands of Chinese engineers inside the United States as Trump rolls out a doctrine designed explicitly to keep Eastern influence out of our hemisphere. Over the past 4 years under Biden, 200,000 Chinese came into the United States, 200,000. And of course, Trump wants to open the doors for 500,000 students to come in, which is all very weird, right? So do you see like a weird collision course happening here? 2026 is going to be an absolute mess. The economic front is collapsing. At the same time, the geopolitical world is shifting. Right now, the United States businesses are going bankrupt at a blistering pace. New report out this week that we are entering a year where the economy breaks apart. NATO fractures and breaks apart. China tightens its grip. Russia plants nuclear submarines in our backyard. And America declares a new hemispheric empire. This is why Trump said we are at a tipping point. This is why you feel the tension right now. You feel why neocons are melting down. And according to journalist Lara Logan, who I spoke to this week, she says there are people inside Trump's own circle actively trying to sabotage this doctrine, this plan, before it even starts. Listen to what she told me this week.
There are questions, valid questions, about a lot of people, a number of people, I wouldn't say a lot, but a number of people in this administration that have yet to be answered, that are cause for some concern because of the lack of action that has followed.
So guys, this is the opening move of a new global order. One hemisphere under America, one hemisphere under China, one Eurasian superbloc that's under Russia and China combined. 3 poles, 3 empires, no Europe, no NATO, no unipolar world, with us playing the cops. So I think this is the most important geopolitical shift of our lifetime, and nobody in the mainstream press is covering it, of course. So we'll see how this all unfolds. So that's the news update part of today's video. Now I want to tell you about today's sponsor, which is tied directly to this massive geopolitical shift right now we're seeing right now and this overwhelming demand for precious metals. So the nominal all-time high of silver from 45 years ago is now toast, burnt toast. This current bull market is so different than the 1980 spectacle and the 2025 surge and the sound of industrial warfare escalating right now between the United States, China, Russia, and the BRICS nations. Each of the three major silver bull markets over the past 54 years have begun when this chart tops. And that's what it looks like today. Look at this. Silver is also reacting to the AI and robotics drain. Every single advanced technology that's crucial to the United States right now, the US versus China supremacy race, from the fastest servers to the sensors in every humanoid robot, all of them built on silver. And it's not just the best conductor, it's the irreplaceable catalyst for the future economy right now. I'm telling you all of this right now because the sponsor of today's video is tied to the do or die race between China and the United States right now, which is sweeping the world. And it is Humanoid Global Holdings. Here's their ticker on your screen, because humanoid robots could turn out to be, in my opinion, the most transformative in world history. Shares of Humanoid Global Holdings, again, here is their symbol on the screen, are available through Interactive Brokers, Schwab, Fidelity, E-Trade, any of the big brokers. Just so you understand, we're not just early. We are standing at the 0 mile marker of the most profound productivity shift in human history. I believe the technology is demonstrating breathtaking exponential progress. This earliness is precisely what makes it unstoppable. It's an unmissable mega event in investment themes as I see it. So the ultimate proof of the market's infancy lies in the current state of technology adoption right now. Limited real-world development as of late 2025. Humanoid robots are primarily like in the pilot testing phase within structured environments like automotive factories and stuff like that. Now, humanoid robots are projected to account for a mere 0.2% of the total robot market scale. Humanoids are the quintessential early stage investment, and to capitalize on this window of opportunity, and the company, Humanoid Global Holdings, is one of the only publicly traded companies that is a pure play that's focused on the robotics sector. So I think the most important point here is this, that Humanoid Global Holdings gives an investor access to the humanoid sector in its startup phase right now, when companies are all still private. And the type of access that is virtually impossible for an average person and is reserved for like well-connected angel investor types or hedge fund people, right? Or endowments and big tech. So that access directly investing in private startups makes Humanoid Global Holdings a standalone investment company, which is publicly traded. It's available to anyone, not just accredited investors or like hedge funds. Even ETFs, which will be available later on, will be mostly invested in publicly traded companies, not in startups. So this is unique to Humanoid Global Holdings. Each of us gets very few chances in life to be at the inception moments of like a transformative industry, part of the birth of ground floor opportunities with global influence that will result in trillions of dollars of wealth created in robotics. And just so you understand how big this is, last week my 15-year-old son and I took a tour of a robotics school that'll be open to juniors and seniors. And the teacher told us something shocking. He said that his students are in such high demand, because he teaches the electronics and the robotics and all of that, that they're graduating with no debt. They're able to buy a home at 19 years old. He told us about one student last year who went through their program, now working for a big robotics company because the demand is off the charts. He just bought a home at 19 years old. And because he couldn't even get insurance on the house, you have to co-sign it with your parents because they don't let you buy insurance till you're 21. So here's a 19-year-old that in this crazy economy where all of these like young people are worried they're ever going to be able to buy a home, he's working in robotics, 19, and buys a house. The demand for people to work in robotics and electronics right now is off the charts in the United States. I couldn't believe it. I mean, these students are graduating, going right to work, making a great living right out of high school. No more wasted 4 years at a liberal university. So this is huge. And Humanoid Global Holdings has publicly committed to or closed indirect strategic investments in the following 5 companies. And I'm going to go through these. These represent key parts of the emerging humanoid robotics ecosystem. Again, these are startups. They're private. So there's no other way to gain exposure or invest in them as if you're a retail investor, unless you invest through Humanoid Global Holdings. So let's go through the 5 companies that they're now investing in. Agility Robotics, developer of the bipedal human robot called Digit. Shareholders of Humanoid Global are invested in Agility alongside Amazon Industrial Innovation Fund and NVIDIA. The next one is Apptronic, developer of the general purpose humanoid robot called Apollo.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Apollo, the robot.
Hello, people. How is Austin treating you?
So shareholders of Humanoid Global are invested in Apptronic alongside Google and Mercedes-Benz. The third one, RideScan, developer of an AI-powered safety and performance platform for autonomous robots. Then How2 Robot, which is a global marketplace that connects businesses looking for automation with robotics solutions suppliers. And then Formic, Formic, a company offering robotics as a service to small and mid-sized manufacturers. This is the focus. It basically focuses on the development of the financial model, the RAAS model. It lowers the barrier to entry for automation for smaller companies. Shareholders of Humanoid Global are invested in the Formic alongside Lux Capital and Mitsubishi HC Capital America. So just so you understand, the level of commitment that the People's Republic of China is dedicating to humanoid robotics is nothing short of an all-out, centrally planned, national strategic imperative from everything I've been able to gather and assess on this subject. China has set non-negotiable short-term deadlines for robotics in their country. And in parallel, the United States is pursuing a more decentralized approach through private capital, venture funding, large technology companies competing. So this is the very definition of early. I'll show you what I mean. The core investment thesis behind humanoids rests on their ability to unlock massive, untapped productivity gains across every sector of the global economy. So guys, do your own homework on Humanoid Global Holdings, one of the only publicly traded humanoid companies out there. And I'll have links to their website in the description below. And we'll see you next time, everyone.